What's up, baby dolls? There's a 6-hour interview here of Jon McMoneagle, who is he was remote viewer 001 for the CIA, an actual psychic. And he did hundreds of missing persons cases, and he worked for the CIA, a lot of intelligence. And he's got a gift, but also he had to train as well, out-of-body astral stuff. And his strike rate is actually surprisingly decent. Now, for the complicated ones, man, you would have to work at stuff for a long time just to get key pieces of information. But there's something in this interview which is fascinating to me, okay? So there's a part in here where, so this is the funny part with the remote viewing, okay? Now, when I first heard of it, I was like, man, this makes no sense. So you're probably wondering, okay, what is it? Well, there's obviously, as humans, friends, we're not as individual as we think. Our brains, just like a little satellite, and humanity is one consciousness, okay? We are like one stream, and all of us are just like little bands, okay? Now, it's kind of funny, thousands of years ago, ancient religions, they've basically been speaking about this. It's kind of like just, we don't talk about stuff like that because we probably don't have the science to really catch up to it yet. But what's interesting is, in the remote viewing, when he was able to do like different missing persons cases and all of these stuff, and just find stuff for the CIA, to find them, he'd sit in a room and they'd have an envelope, and in the envelope is his target. You know, sometimes the target is a coordinate in Russia. Sometimes it's like, okay, there's a piece of paper in a building. We need you to go look what's there. Oh, this person's missing. Where are they? Okay, so what they'll do is they'd write the target on a piece of paper in an envelope, and they would give him the envelope. Now, this is the most fascinating part when I was first hearing. He doesn't even open the envelope. Or other remote viewers, they don't open the envelope. And what happens is they get the envelope, it's there, and then they don't use their ego. They're just trying to tap in to what is their brain sending them? What waves? What like images? What textures? What sensors? They're trying to feel stuff. I know it sounds kooky, okay, but he had an enormous strike rate, like something like 25%. Think about this, man. Like, friends, there was even a story here. The CIA sent a spy out to 3 locations, random locations around the world, and they called him when the spy was there, and they said, "Okay, where's our spy now?" And he'd be like, okay, I see in he drew a picture. He goes, okay, I see a hill and I see like these big solar panel winds, right? And the guy's there with like his car and he wants, okay, they're spy, So that type of like crazy stuff, okay? Now, here's the thing. I was wondering, and probably you're like, wait a minute, how are they getting the target when he doesn't even know what's in the envelope? Isn't that crazy? You're like, wait a minute, how the hell were you... All right, but it's all 100% confirmed, all of these, okay? So, but there's an answer. Obviously, he's done it. He's like, hey, there is an answer. He goes, they tried different methods, okay? But before I even go into this, I'm going to like tease you with something. When he was in the army, served in Vietnam, he goes, humans, we all have this predictive sixth sense. And he said they actually were able to measure it. Okay, and what they were able to do was, he goes, if you sit on a chair and they connect your middle finger and your index finger to those electrical diode things, and you connect it to a computer, and he said if you are then listening to white noise on headphones, like white noise, and he goes, and then at a random time, the white noise would go bang and spook you, all right? And what he said they did was they got like the panel, like the heartbeat, the pulse beat, beep, beep, beep. Well, they would hook people up to that. And this is this for any human. This is a crazy part, any human, okay? They would look and study that part before the bang, right? And because you're in the white noise, there's no ego. You're not distracted, okay? You're just watching something. And you're just watching nothing. You're just like, your brain is like, there's no ego. You don't know what's going on. You don't know you don't even know you're being tested, right? You sit there. And he said, what ended up happening was, when the bang would occur, there would be a big spike. in the heart rate thing, right? The electrical impulse. And now I remember, actually, they set up the diodes to the back of the brain. Okay. Now this is the amazing part. Right before, the big bang, he goes 1.5 seconds before the big bang, there would be this tiny little beep that appears. And he said, that's your sixth sense. So right before this explosion, everybody innately has like this sixth sense, like something's about to happen. And he said, so he goes, one thing they did was at the CIA, and this is the funny part, he suggested to them, why don't we have this hooked up in every Jeep when people, or every like, in the army, every let's say every vehicle that's just driving, and it's hooked up to their helmets. So if they get a little spike thing, there's still some scientific way to do it, but if they see the little spike, the car would basically tell them inside, brake, because it's possible that they're about to run over landmines in Vietnam. Now, he mentions in here that he suggested it, and then it kind of went dead. But he also said it being dead in terms of like they never got back to him with like implementing stuff like that. But he also mentioned it might not be as effective as we think, because he goes, what might end up happening was, because everyone knows about it, they keep trying to predict it. And if you try to predict it, you can't do the remote viewing anymore, because now you have an ego, which is your ego is your brain's confidence to tell you like, I can do this. I'm confident to do this. It's confidence. All right. And in this thing, if you have ego, you don't do well at all, because you're trying to impose your will on what you're trying to guess. And sometimes even John, right, he would say that when he would have like a bad day or a bad period, it will take him 1.5 hours to clear his mind. He just have to sit there. And sometimes he'd have like the army generals and stuff. They're like, hey man, like how much time we got? He actually said there was a company or someone else found a way to reset the brain, and it dropped the 1.5 hour recovery time down to like 5 minutes. And I think like Sean as well, Sean Ryan, he asks him, So Sean basically says to him, how the hell did they get your recovery time down to 5 minutes? He goes, I think it was like a mix of like, different music waves, and I don't know what it was. It's kind of fascinating, right? Just to kind of like reset your mind. It's interesting, right? So back to this remote viewing. That's why it's interesting, right? So you're seeing all these. It's weird. It's really, really like it's fair. I know this is like, woo, off the rail fringe stuff, but it's all confirmed. It all works. The problem though are the win rates and how do you don't know what you're looking at. That's the thing. So it's just like your brain's sending signals, but you don't know what they're drawing. You don't know what it is. Okay. Now, the trippy start, wait till you even find, there's even a part in here where you can actually go forward in time or back in time. That was actually the craziest part. He goes, going back in time is easier, because he says going forward in time is really, really difficult, because you're getting signals, but your brain doesn't know how they connected there, because it kind of doesn't exist yet. Because you don't know what am I interpreting it? Is it a square? Is it a box? Like, types of different. And he actually did one in the future, but he was looking inside he was looking 5 years into the future at some building, and it was drawing inside of it, but the way it was constructed, I think it was like a silo for missiles or nukes or something. And when he was like making it, it didn't make any sense. And I think he said it was in Serbia or something. I forgot. Because they thought of a new technique to construct stuff in the future. And his brain was like, I'm seeing stuff, but like he doesn't know what he's like looking at, right? But then ended up finding out 5 years later. I think it was he was in 1972, and the thing maybe gets built 1977 or whatever it is. So it's just interesting, right? So predicting the future is pretty hard, because things appear, you don't know what you're looking at, right? It's almost like if you go to Middle Ages and someone could see 300 years into the future, they don't even know what a car is. Imagine their brain is trying to send them the signal of a flying car now. You know what I mean? Like, they don't even know what a freaking a ground car is, let alone a flying car. Like, what the hell is that? Is that a horse? Because all their brain knows is what a horse is. You know what I mean? It's like, it looks like a horse, but it's not a horse. You know what I mean? Like, what is it, right? Fascinating. So when he asked John, he goes, dude, how's this remote viewing work where they've got a piece of paper with a target and you don't even know what the hell you're looking for? And he says it comes down to three things, this is the most amazing part, friends. And yeah, man, it relates to us hunting for edge in crypto and trying to really find out what's going on. He says, you don't even need to read what's going on. You need, number one, intent. So if people around you have an intent, so the people handing him the note, they've all been like in the background before talking to him, the CIA agents and all these other people, they have an intent. They're like, we got to find this. I want to know what's inside this building, or where's this thing? Where's this thing? So that type of like kinetic energy or like telekinetic energy of everyone, that's intent. Okay. It's crazy. It's almost like that. It's like if there's a will, there's a way. Your intent, right? It's positive mindset thinking. Think about that. It's kind of spooky because I thought it was a bunch of hogwash. I'm like, wait a minute. There's actually stuff going on here where he's saying, wow, that's one of the big ones. The next one is attention to detail. That was another one. So he was talking about how it's not just looking for something. It's like thinking about the details, like, okay, we're looking over a building. Like, how many doors does this building have? What type of windows would it have? What type of outdoor, what's it going to be next to, how tall or big is it going to be? Is it going to be surrounded by other buildings? Is it going to be discreet like that? Just people thinking about that in like a certain, like just collective of people. That just basically is this weird, like these brain waves of everybody thinking about it. That is when they give him the question, hey, we got to find this thing. It's like his brain wave is, there's this group of people, right? They've handed him a note. He's like your brain's a satellite trying to pick it up. Okay, he doesn't know what to pick it up. But that's the crazy part. He doesn't know how long they've been thinking about or anything. It's just that naturally, us humans, it happens like that. And by the way, how we know this works already. Humans, we learn by osmosis. So if you just sit in an office cubicle next to a genius, some stuff's gonna rub off on you. That's what it is. We're all humans. We learn by we're like sponges. Okay, but if you sit there by yourself, you basically go cold and dead. Okay, you don't have any connections with anyone. And friends, the third thing was expectation of result. Okay, so expectation of result is you in your heart, you're expecting a result. You're expecting it. Isn't it it's kind of spooky? It's like, wait a minute. And I've actually got this guy, shout out to this gentleman in the comment section here. Number one, intention. Number two, attention to detail. And number three, expectation of result. So remember what we're going through is when they have a piece or an envelope here, how come they can actually figure out what the message is? Now, friend, if you want to it's kind of fun, I'll show you. There's many videos of Jon McMoneagle out, remote viewer number one. We're just going to have a listen. He actually did, because he was in his late 50s. He basically retired, and he does missing persons cases. This is fun. This is crazy, friends. He finds random Japanese people who haven't seen their family or whatever in ages. I'm not joking. Look at the details. They ask him, hey, we got a missing persons case. And what can you tell us about the person? Look at the details that his brain comes up with. Let's have a listen.
Brown eyes, normally wears a suit and tie, lives alone, work requires something jacket and tie, partial pension or money for something, and then works part-time at a hotel.
And so all of that was dead on.
Yeah, and then this is an outlet.
Can you believe it? His brain was telling him works part-time at a hotel or something. His brain was actually telling him that. He found this random Japanese dude.
Line of the coast.
Right.
Oh, and he draws where the guy lives.
Point to where the city is. Mm-hmm. Then I start drawing a map of the city.
He drew this.
How to get in or out and what's around it. Then in the city, I would put in, this is a bad copy, I'm sorry. I'd put in all the raised roads, all the subways, all the interconnecting roads to things like hospitals, police stations, all that kind of stuff. And then I'd say, there are some buildings here, and I'd point to the buildings. There'd be this one, this one, this one, this one. I would draw those buildings because they would identify the city, okay? They only existed in that city alone, like a building with a hole through it.
Look what he drew, friends. What the hell, man? How do you draw this?
A big garden, that kind
of
stuff.
He drew a perfect match of where the dudes is. Oh my god, let's go back in time. Oh my god, he drew this angle. This is the most fascinating part. He was able to draw where a drone would be before drones even existed, okay? So it's interesting this type of stuff. That look at it. He drew this. He just drew this. He's just sitting here. He's like, yeah, just got this random like curve shaped banana. This is where the dude lives. This missing person's Japanese dude. Oh my gosh, he drew this as well. Look at that. Look
Then
at
I'd
that.
say, okay, straight out from subway east entrance, and I would name the subway stop. When you come out of the subway entrance, which is right here, you go a certain way. You go down this road, you make a right on the 4th road, you zigzag through here and continue to this building. This is the front of one of the buildings. There's a
They put him on the Japanese show, friends. It's Japanese dude.
The head of
I'm just showing you. Oh, I actually went there. He actually went there. That's crazy. So, yeah, I think they end up fighting the Japanese dude.
Didn't go south to South Korea. They went north and crossed the river into China.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there. I know. You're probably thinking, what? But look, man, he's a part of his brain, friends. He's genetically gifted a bit as well, because if you listen to the 6-hour Sean Ryan interview in the army, he survived for 10 years in a unit where the average life expectancy was 20 months. So he was still not dead after 10 years. He talked about 3 assassination attempts. One of the attempts, just to tell you, he was walking into a bunker. Okay? He was literally walking into a bunker. And before he entered the bunker, he said, a voice came to him and goes, freeze, don't move. And he just stood there. And then he said, like, 2 seconds later, the whole thing crumbled and people in there died. Okay? When it was in the door. That's one story I remember. There was another story I remember where one of the generals, they'd been ambushed, and one of the generals, I think he had a bag. I can't remember, but it was a bag, and the general like tried to empty it, but when he emptied it, it was grenades that came out, and he was waving to the general, trying to tell him, well, one of the other dudes, right, don't open that bag. Don't open that bag. But when he was doing that, they thought, hey, how you doing? He was waving to you. And then he opened the bag up. He just exploded, like the guy was gone, but exploded. He also noticed, well, it's funny, he said, other people in his unit in Vietnam, they noticed that he could predict the future and things. So he would just randomly get thoughts and he said, I've got to go in here. And when he did that, people would follow him. Like he said, people around him started noticing, when he goes, this guy's like, he can kind of predict the future of what's going on. So it's also fascinating. Yeah, I might have to make a full video just on the crazy part of his life. There's some weird stuff. So you can see this, he was gifted with a bit of these things. But he said every single person can learn it. And he's taught classes and stuff. He said basically after like 10 years of classes, there was just like one person who couldn't do it. And guess what, friends? You're going to laugh if you're in crypto. He said they were a journalist. Soy boy journalist. They're like, nah, I can't do it. It doesn't work. But yeah, he goes, anyone can train and do it. By the way, there are people on YouTube, you can go and find their videos. People actually do this. And yeah, they do have good results. But what's good? Good is like you've never done it and you get a piece of paper and someone's like, hey, I've got an object here. And then for the first week, there's like nothing. But then like they keep at it. But then like, the 8th time they try, they draw something and they're like, I'm getting like a circle and I'm getting like water here. And I'm just seeing like fluid and runny and I'm hearing water. And then like they open up the envelope and the person has given them, I'm asking you to draw a water tank. He's like, I've drew one. There's some people, they do these results, they get so excited. But what ends up happening, John goes, what ends up happening is when you first do it, you do okay. You do something like really, really like rough like that, pretty good. He goes, but then your ego comes in because now you're trying to impose your will. And he goes, then everybody does like this, the big curve down. It's almost like in fence. It's literally like in crypto. You go, I just got to buy and hold. Okay, sweet. But then you go venturing into all these altcoins and all this other junk. And then you go down and you become a mid-curver for a long time. Then you're like, wait, I just got to be in these things. It's going to go up only. It's kind of fascinating how that all happens. But when I heard all that, I think I was very, very surprised. I was like, wow. So you are guessing, speculating remote viewing about targets and objects and people, not based off what they write on that envelope. Remember, it was those things. It was intent. So a lot of these people, they want to find something. They want to find it. Just wanting in your heart. You want to find something. You want an answer. You want to succeed. Okay, that's one. And then the attention to detail. Thinking about the doors and everything and how it's going to happen. But that's why I know in crypto, remember, I'm thinking about, hey, what's Davey Soy Hoffman going to do? What's our top signals going to be? Jim Cramer, Coinbase App Store ranking. I'm looking for that attention to detail to pick up. It's kind of funny how it all lines up. But remember, we're in crypto, man. This is next level crazy spooky stuff. You know what I mean? We're just in crypto. You sound spooky to everyone else. And then remember as well, so you have the attention to detail, you have the intent, and then you have that expectation of result. Like, we're here to win. We want to win. We expect to win. We're expecting to find an answer. You know what I mean? That's kind of like when I'm thinking about in crypto, like I'm expecting to see top signals. I want to see people, you know? Like, friends, I throw these random things out there. I'm like, I wonder if somebody in the euphoria will fornicate with their loved ones on webcam, you know? And everyone's like, whoa, this guy made money, so he left the webcam on and he made sweet love to his partner in like celebration of these green candles on the screen. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm looking for details like that. It doesn't have to be that, but you get to see, man. It's kind of funny how it all plays out. All this while wearing a helicopter hat. So yeah, what do you think? I mean, like, a lot of these, by the way, friends, go check all the comment section. A lot of you, it's kind of funny how, like, we all know this. We all like, oh, it kind of makes sense now, but it's kind of like the power of the internet. If you were to see one of these, you're like, hocus pocus, but you see a lot of these back to back. Yeah, man, this has made me rethink life a lot, because positive thinking, you know, but I used to think when I was a kid, I thought, wow, what a load of crap. You're just trying to sell me something. Positive thinking. Okay, yeah, that's for lazy people. Maybe, but doing the hard work with the positive thinking, I think you're always going to trump, no pun intended, you're going to trump over the guy or girl who's doing the hard work but has negative thinking. Okay, just seeing this stuff. And this is so, friends, that's why I love markets like this. Finding patterns and edges like this, it's fascinating, you know? But ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, do we even really need this to crush it, to make our imaginary fiat currency digits before we go die and then our souls come back? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, while it's here, it's a fascinating game. But, man, it'll be crazy if it just all plays out again. You know, all of this. Friends, wouldn't it be funny, man? Wouldn't it be funny? Like, just think about it. Like, imagine just sending your friends, like, oh, we're watching psychics, remote viewing, UFO videos, and you're like, what on earth does that have to do with crypto? Well, friends, it has a lot. It has a lot. We're in the dark. You got to remember, right? In markets, everybody's blind. Okay? Everyone's blind in markets. So any edge you can try to look for in the future, right ahead, just around the corner, that's worth its weight in gold. That's worth a lot. Okay? In a world, you've heard that saying, right? In the world where everybody's blind, the one-eyed man is king. See what I mean? To the one-eyed man. That's why we're looking for these clues. That's why I'm not... Look, there's always that famous... They always do that famous thought experiment. Oh, if I went back in time, I would go buy Bitcoin. Or I'd go buy back these coins. No. I never go say that, okay? I never go say, oh, I would go back and buy this coin. I never think like that. What your friend Sommi always does is he says, if I go back in time, what would I learn from the available information around me? What would I deduce from them? What would I gather? Right? I wouldn't go expecting, oh, I should have gone this corner of the alley. I should have trusted this person. I don't like that. I sit in the trenches here with you. I want to go see things like that. Okay, that's what I'm thinking about. Because when we go back in time, remember, friends, it's like, oh, if you could go back in time, and let's say somebody lost all their money in a casino, and you say to that person, hey, if you could go back in time, what would you do? That gambler would say, oh, I wouldn't have bet it all on black. I would have bet it all on red. And you would look at them going like, no, that's not the lesson, dude. If you could go back in time, You would walk into that casino, see a bunch of broke losers, and notice that 99% of them are leaving poorer. And so you would gather that information and say, oh, this is a death trap for me. I better turn around and walk out the casino door. That's what I'm getting at. Okay, now in crypto, we could do the same thing. Similar. Okay, I want to go, what are the information pieces I can learn from? What did we learn from? By the way, that's my whole channel, friends. That's literally my whole channel. I play some nice gentle angel music just to soften it. Yeah, that's literally my whole channel. When we go back to 2020, for example, and everybody's in DeFi, what did I go and learn? I go, well, if I go back to DeFi of 2020, what would I look at and observe from all the news of DeFi taking over the world? Okay. What I would go and do is look at 2016 from 2020. I'd go back in time 4 years and go, wait a minute. The 2016 coins, they weren't the biggest pumpers in the bull market. Okay. It was the new coins. And that's exactly what happened. So here we are today in 2024. I'm thinking, people haven't learned, but we learned. I was here 2020, right? The DeFi coins that ran for those 4 or 5 months, they were old news when the real bull market came. They were old news. They couldn't do their emphatic run again. They could do okay, but they couldn't do the big run. So we just had 3, 4, 5, 6 months of Solana and that type of stuff. Does that mean when the real bull market starts, that they don't do as well and it goes to other places? Hey, your mind's open to that now. Your mind is open to that. Yeah, it's funny how much I've said that and I haven't heard a single person out there talk about it. I haven't heard one. Friends, a lot of my talking points, Ivan, Crypto Banter, Miles, I go on the biggest channels, my talking points end up. I'm literally just, when I'm watching the channels, I'm like, I'm just listening to myself in in a nice polished format. Yeah. But that one, I still don't hear him talking about it. All right. And I always wonder why. Is it advanced to them? Nah, they're all pretty smart. Is it too advanced? Maybe because they're biased. Maybe because they FOMO bought whatever was just in and their brain doesn't want to accept that, oh my gosh, the warning of if you went and bought DeFi season 2020 coins expecting them to continue in 2021, you got wrecked last time and then you got wrecked in 2016 comparatively. Okay. That means your odds are pretty low this time. It could happen. It could change. But you see this, friends? It's a blind world and we're just trying to slightly open our eyes. But I really do believe that, right? You have intent, you have a good expectation of result, and we're always looking for that attention to detail. Okay. Because it's not, the answer just doesn't come, friends, like that. What you find is it really is trial and error, and there's hundreds of thought experiments, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then you slowly just weave your way into like just a group in your mind. Kind of like, friends, you got a torchlight. I mean, you're looking at your torchlight and you're literally in a freaking jungle, and you just got no idea. But you can kind of like, if you move your torch place to places, you see some bushes rustling once in a while. And you go there and you don't know what's behind the bushes. You're looking for, I don't know, you're looking for a tiger. And then, because why? Because it stole your cup of orange juice, of course. So this tiger with your cup of orange juice, and then you hear this rustling over there. You're like, interesting. Like, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for, okay, there's a vicinity of this area. That's what it is here. And people who try to come in with their like a big ego, like, I want this answer and I want it now, they're the ones who end up just getting destroyed because this game is really, really hyper competitive. So yeah, man, after seeing like Jon McMoneagle and going through this, I might have to make another full video just on his interview itself, because it's mind blowing in these things. And yeah, a lot of it's been verified and everything, but you're not going to hear about it from like Neil deGrasse Tyson, all these other science cucks, because yeah, you know what I mean? Like their brains, they can't even learn that. Friends, we know this in crypto. You've seen it, right? Try to explain to the average person that they are getting robbed by inflation every day. We have the formula. We can write it to them. We can show them Bitcoin going up. We have 1,000 people getting excited for it every day around them. And they're like, I just don't get it. It's a bloody scam. I just don't get it. Their brain just can't comprehend that. It's fascinating to that. So people who try to communicate to these mid-curve plebs, they got a tough job because they're trying to like always bring them in. But I say, who cares about talking to them, bro? They're like, don't worry about them. You know what I mean? There's actually money for us to pick up. There is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for us. We don't need to waste our time talking about it. That's the most important part. You know, they're gonna learn. Trust me. Oh, trust me, they're gonna learn. But are they gonna learn the easy way or the hard way? Right? If you're learning the easy way, they're gonna learn the hard way. Make sure you like, subscribe, bell button, or catch you soon.